Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the movement of understanding, a place where we cover and talk about things of the world where many do not. Every day we work to bring the most accurate and the most enlightening information available to us today. We welcome debate and skepticism, but we do ask that you trust the science and not the scientist in some cases, and the tridactyl discovery is such a case. The fact is, the data shows a particularly interesting phenomena that happened within our ancient past. The presence of tridactyl seemingly brought on stories of the divine and noteworthy idealistic changes such as cranial deformation, the act of binding one's head to elongate their skull structures. This action was mainly introduced to the ancients to mimic the apparent looks of their gods they claimed to have at the time. The discovery of tridactyl within Nazca is no coincidence. In fact, it's not a surprise at all. Many of the ancients' art displays a strangely similar yet common theme. In fact, on a global scale, our ancients showed and depicted the tridactyl species in large numbers, some of them aiding civilization, others practicing sacrifice and blood rituals. If you take a look at the comparisons of newer iterations of history, particularly within scripture, you begin to see a shocking correlation with the story of the Nephilim and the fallen angels. It's our opinion that the tridactyl species was simply a story too complicated to understand centuries ago. Their story was placed into the same subcategories of angels and demons, and now that we are in a modern era, it is time we must remove their existence from this group, as it is brought into a modern light that this interaction with man is more so biological in nature instead of spiritual or divine intervention. The correlation of these stories directly connects to the species discovered within Nazca, and the mounting evidence that these reptilian humanoids seem to possess advanced capabilities and various different natures. The most fascinating and the hardest part to understand is what seems to be the ability to hybridize and genetically manipulate. When looking at the smaller corpses, which possess DNA complexities that baffle the most profound institutions, seemingly were able to do this with ease, as the discovery of Jamin palpenensis shows a crossbreed between Homo sapien human and the tridactyls. This is further solidified with the two different morphological wing-typed beings that were found by two different individuals which were recently unveiled. This species, which we refer to as Tridactyls elatus, seems to show strange morphological complexities. These complexities don't seem indicative of natural mutations, but instead, they show what seems to be evidence of experimentation and biological manipulation. This winged species is even depicted once again in ancient glyphs thousands of miles away from Peru, with no possible way of interconnection by the standard definitions of history. Its story seems to continue on hundreds of years even after the events unfolded. Their appearance seems to bleed into a modern era where the phenomena seem largely the same. It's almost as if the same events have been unfolding even after all this time. The same strange morphological typed beings are talked about right now, and it must make you ask yourself, if the ancients claim to have seen it and interacted with it, and we claim to see it today and interact with it nearly identically, then what is the most probable answer presented in front of us? There are not many other data-driven answers, but one that stands out most probable, that the fact visitation has not only been a prospect since the very dawn of humanity, but it in fact has influenced idealistic and religious complexes that shaped into the interpretation at the time the ancients could understand. Therefore, demons, angels, gods, goddesses, ant people, and many other alleged divine characters show an oddly similar pattern that we cannot ignore.